Alright, today we're going to continue graphing parabolas, but this time our equations are going to be given to us in a different form. Yesterday, for day 1, we used equations that were in standard form. So if you notice, there's no parentheses anywhere. It's ax squared plus bx plus c. Here today you're going to see possibly a binomial, but definitely something that's being squared. Typically there'll be parentheses and then a quantity that's being squared. So what's nice about vertex form, as indicated by its name, is that you can find the vertex just by looking at the vertex form. So we're going to look at the opposite of this b number and exactly this c number. And then just like yesterday, we're going to make a table of values, make our points on the graph, and draw the parabola. So if you look at problem number 1, it says f of x equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. Now a, that number, when we don't see it, is 1. So a here is 1. That tells me that my parabola opens up. But then I could tell my vertex, if I look at this value, it says plus 2. So if I take the opposite of that, that tells me that I would look at negative 2. If I look at exactly this value, this would be negative 3. So my vertex is negative 2, negative 3. Now I don't have to do the negative b over 2a. You only had to do that in standard form. Okay, so on my graph I could do negative 2, negative 3 and plot my vertex right away. My axis of symmetry is always the first value, or the x value. Yesterday we found the axis of symmetry first, then we found the vertex. Today we're going to find the vertex and then find the axis of symmetry. So that gives me the vertical line that cuts my parabola in half. Alright, then I'm going to use my graphing calculator to do the rest. So I'm going to go to y equals, type in my equation, x plus 2 squared minus 3. Then I'm going to hit graph. So that's what my picture should look like. It's a parabola opening up. And then if I copy down a few values in my table, I have negative 2, negative 3. And then I'm going to copy a couple more below and above. So now that I have 5 points to copy down, I can plot 0, 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 2, negative 3, negative 3, negative 2, and negative 4, 1. And then I'm going to draw a sketch of my graph. It should be U-shaped. All parabolas are U-shaped, not V-shaped. And then it opens up. Alright, so you'll find that these vertex form problems are a lot faster than what we did yesterday. So this number tells me my A, which is negative 2. That tells me that this should open down. Alright, then I'm going to look at the opposite of this value and exactly what that value says. So opposite of that is positive 3 and 4. So 3, 4 is my vertex. And then my x coordinate is x equals 3. That tells me my vertical line that goes through my parabola. Alright, and then I'm going to make a table of values. I know that 3, 4 should be in there. So I'm going to go to y equals, type in my new equation, negative 2 times x minus 3 squared plus 4. And I'm going to hit graph. So it should be on the right side here, opening down. And then if I look at my table, I need to find positive 3, so make sure you find positive 3. And then write down a couple more values above and below. Alright, now I'm going to plot those on my graph. So I've got 1, negative 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, and 5, negative 4. And just like we said earlier, it's a parabola that opens downward. Make sure you put arrows on the end. That'll tell you that your parabola goes on forever. Alright, flip to the other side. We got 2 more examples. Alright, so we're going to look at this problem. Now, this one doesn't have parentheses here. This is exactly the same as if I were to see 1 x minus 0 squared minus 5. So notice that this is my a value. That's a 1. And x minus 0 is the same as just seeing an x. So now it fits this format. You can look at it this way, but this is what you should be thinking about. So A is 1. That tells me that my parabola opens up. if I look at the opposite of this number and exactly that number, then that tells me my vertex, which should be 0, negative 5. My axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate, so I should be looking at x equals 0 as my axis of symmetry. So I can put a point at 0, negative 5, and there's my vertical line. I'm going to go to y equals. Now I'm just going to type in the original equation, x squared minus 5. So I hit graph, and then it should look like opening up. And I'm going to copy down a few numbers on the table. So 0, negative 5, I've got negative 1, negative 4, negative 2, negative 1, and I have 1, negative 4, and 2, negative 1. Alright, so I'm going to plot those points. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, negative 4, 0, negative 5, 1, negative 4, and 2, negative 1. Now that I have my 5 points, I'm going to sketch in my parabola, and then I'm all done. Alright, last problem. Notice that we've got an A equals negative 1. We have a B, so you can do the opposite of that. That's negative 3. But there is no C here. Well, if I have nothing that's at the end, that's the same as adding 0. So I need exactly that value, which is just 0. Therefore, my vertex is at negative 3, 0. My axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate. So I'm going to draw a vertical line. And then I'm going to go to y equals. I've got negative x plus 3 squared. And there was nothing else. You could write plus 0 if you really want to. And it opens down. So I know I need to go on my table, find negative 3, 0, which is here. I have negative 4, negative 1, negative 5, negative 4, negative 2, negative 1, and negative 1, negative 4. Right, then using those 5 points, I'm going to plot negative 5, negative 4, negative 4, negative 1, negative 3, 0, negative 2, negative 1, and negative 1, negative 4. So now I connected my dots and made arrows at the end, so there's my U-shaped parabola opening downwards.